Welcome back to another video about suburban homesteading, showing how much you can get done on a small lot. Today we're talking about rainwater capture, and it's a big day with the tank install.
Brooke from Catching H2Os here. Genius. Helped us get everything up and running, and now she's going to explain to us how it all works.
Hey everybody. We're catching 3,000 or 2,500 gallons in that tank today, right?
Yep.
Do you remember how much we said we could get off your roof in an average year?
So Menifee has about 9 inches of rain per year, and 1,000 square feet of your roof will get 600 gallons with 1 inch. Yeah.
So do you remember how much we said we're catching here?
I think we said we can fill it up and down like 3 times in the year. I want to say it was like 7,200.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great.
And we have the gutters are coming out tomorrow.
So the gutters are going to wrap around this section of the roof and drop right into our filter set there. For easy cleaning, we have a leaf filter under the downspout. It has a screen that is small enough that mosquitoes can't get into it. And it's slanted so that if there's any large debris, it'll just slough off towards the bottom of the screen so that it doesn't interrupt water flow. After it goes into the leaf filter, it fills this tube, this 3-inch pipe here, which acts as kind of like a settling tank. So any small debris that gets through the leaf screen is going to settle at the bottom of the first flush diverter. This is called the first flush diverter, and it catches and settles out the first flush of rain. The specific calculations are that the first 1/4 inch of rain that comes off your roof after it hasn't rained for a while is going to have excess debris, stuff like pollen, bird poop, dust, all of that stuff that settles on your roof. You want to keep that out of your tank because all of that has bacteria in it and different particulate matter that you don't necessarily want to be sitting and stewing and brewing with your nice clean rainwater. So it settles out in here, and then this is a easy point where you can just open up the bottom with a wrench and empty it out. And a lot of times what you'll find in there is like the gravelly stuff that's on your roof will be just like really in there, and then there'll be other soot and stuff like that, and so you can just clean it out here and take note all of that stuff didn't make it into the tank, but it's still like maybe 5 gallons or 7 gallons of good clean water. So you can just hook a little tube up to this and run it out to your plants, and then just let your first flush water those plants. Maybe not your leafy green veggies because there will be more bacteria and things like that in here, but certainly trees or other kinds of aesthetic plantings that you don't put in your mouth. So that's it. Keeps all the maintenance at this point here instead of having to go into that giant thing over there and deal with it.
And then explain to me the next part. So, guys, one thing, when I was explaining how the wet system worked, I thought, so after the first flush, it fills up the next part, and I thought we were inletting at the bottom, but Brooke corrected me, and she said, so it fills up the entire thing, comes up here, and then once that whole part has filled up, then it starts dumping into the tank.
It's what's called a wet system, and the way it works is that the water, these tubes are all sealed. And so it basically just fills up as if this was like a lake or something. It starts filling up the pipes, and the water level at each end is at the same level. And then eventually it just finds the low spot and then goes in. And so the low spot is always at the tank. You don't want the low spot to be up here.
Yep.
So that does happen from time to time when you don't take your measurements well, and maybe it's around a corner and you think you've done it, and then all of a sudden water starts pouring out.
And as opposed to a dry system, which would be if the tank was closer to where you're standing right now,
Yeah.
or I guess you could take it all the way across the yard.
You'd want some supports because water's heavy and so pipes will sag. But this is just cleaner. It's just out of the way and all of that kind of stuff. And this is, we put Schedule 40 in here. It's going to be a lot more resistant to traffic, whether it's foot traffic or wheelbarrows or whatever. Even though dirt's going to get piled on here, you know, somebody sticks a random shovel in the ground, this is a lot less likely to get broken. And since it's always going to be filled with water, you don't really want that suddenly spilling out everywhere. So we just did that to make sure it's double duty safe. Once it gets into the tank's going to fill up and overflow. This way out this other pipe, and this is a smaller wall pipe because it's not in danger of getting a lot of traffic. This is just going to go out into the landscape, and then we're going to harvest even more water in the landscape. We're going to have a basin or a sort of a ditch here that, you know, you can calculate how much more water you can collect here. If it's like, you know, 3 feet wide and a foot deep and 40 feet long, you're looking at what, 120 cubic feet. So if you do 120 cubic feet times 7.48 gallons per cubic feet, you get another 900 gallons here in the ground.
Yeah.
So, and then the benefit of that is not, you know, everybody's like, well, when it's raining, my plants don't need water. But what happens is the water has a chance to sit there and and soak in, so that when it stops raining, you still have a deep layer of water in the soil that your plants can continue to pull from long after it stopped raining. So it's less additional irrigation you need overall over the span of a year.
You can see the beginning of the orchard right here. Just, but yeah, so there'll be a line of mulch for the overflow right here. Yep.
And then finally, if you want to use the water, the spigot at the bottom, one thing to understand is that the spigots that they sell at Home Depot and such are, you know, they're trying to limit the pressure because you have high pressure, you know, coming out of a hose, and so they have small apertures inside. So whether it's a gate valve or any other kind of valve, it kind of restricts the flow of water, and you really don't want to do that when you're relying on gravity. So we just find this spigot, but you could do the same thing with a ball valve and put on PVC by hose bib thread on the end. So you basically get a full flow out, and that'll make you more likely to want to use the water because you're not sitting there with the hose while it kind of like just dribbles out, which most people experience that with their rain barrels because those are all kind of cheap fittings. But one thing that Brian might end up doing is having a pump that ties into his irrigation system so that he can use the rainwater in his irrigation system, and then you can talk about wanting to keep it full with some emergency water storage.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit and how, probably going to have another 1-inch line L around the entire house to the municipal water where it's coming in. That way we can just always have, 1,000 gallons on hand and be able to fill it up from flip of a switch from there as well. Yeah. But guys, look, I found Brooke on YouTube. If you're in San Diego County, Riverside County, Orange County, LA County, give her a call for sure. But all over, I'm sure you talked to him on the phone too.
Yeah.
So love it. Thanks for all the help. Excited to do this.
Yeah.